Good afternoon, folks. How you doing? This is Glenn Glasper with the Real Life Real Estate Investing Show, where we talk about real life real estate situations, but we bring you real life real estate solutions. And of course, I'm your host, Glenn Glasper, affectionately known as Mr. Dial Out of a Dime. And today we have I consider extremely special guest, Mr. Joe Castaneda. We were just talking for a minute in the we'll call it the green room. And we just realized that this has been long overdue. We were supposed to get this done some time ago, but no timing like the present. Mr. Joe Castaneda has got some great things going on, some great information to share with you all today. And I want to make sure that you all are tuned in. So go ahead and share this with your friends, share this with your family, business partners, share it in the different groups. And as always, if you're watching this video, we want you to click on that link so you can have your comments show up so that we can respond to the comments that you have, coming up. Most times people get on and make comments and we can't really see them because they're in the section where they haven't clicked on the link to allow us to see them. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to bring my guest on today. My guest is the managing partner of a new company that's going to be taking Atlanta by storm. And I think he's got so much money going all over Atlanta and all over the country. We had to see if we can catch up with him to get a couple dollars in our pocket. But without further ado, I'm going to bring my guest, Mr. Joe Castaneda, up. Let me just make sure we got him here. Joe, what's happening, man?
Glenn, what's up, buddy? How are you, my friend?
Hey, man, great to see you. Great to see you. Listen, this whole situation, man, this pandemic has made a way for us to do some great things. God bless those that have suffered through it. But for some of us, we've actually found a way to be able to. We'll call it. They call it pivot, but I just call it thinking as if the box doesn't exist. We breaking the box open and making things happen. But listen, man, I want to give you an opportunity to share with the folks who you are and share with the folks about the name of your new company. And then we'll get some more into, some of the things that you got going on.
Awesome, man. Well, Glenn, really, really appreciate it. An honor to be on the show for sure. It was due, but there's no right time than the time now, right?
Definitely.
My name is Joe Castaneda, Joseph Castaneda on Facebook. Everybody knows me as Joe. I'm in the hard money space in real estate. I help investors try to leverage their capital in different ways, different programs, whatever they would be able to qualify so they could leverage their capital. So yes, I did start off my own brokerage as of February 1st of this year. The name of the company is Duke Allen & Company. Very, very, very proud of the support that I've had starting off with my wife. She was like, man, you know what? Let's just go out, grab life by the horns. 2020 was a very, very challenging year for us, and I'm pretty sure for many as well in the industry. There's good and bads always, and I definitely want to show a lot of the bads here in front of everybody, because this is about being transparent, especially when you hold a platform like you and I do. There's the reality of, you will have losses. I look at them as lessons, right?
Definitely.
Learning curves and whatnot, but then you have the goods, and those goods always fruit out, the way it's supposed to be. But man, really appreciate you having me, man.
Joe, listen, man, I'm glad you brought that point up, man. I think that's a lot of times, we have so many people that always show the great things that happen. But I think, unfortunately, in those situations, the people that watch and pay attention to us, they don't get the lessons that we learn. Because the expectation is if they get into something that we're doing or something similar to what we're doing or even what we're doing, they don't expect that anything is going to go sideways. That's why we have real life real estate investing.
Absolutely.
Stuff does happen.
Yeah.
So tell me, listen, I want to ask you this, and I think I know the answer, but I want you to share with the folks, Duke Allen & Company. Now, where did Duke Allen & Company come from?
All right, so Duke Allen & Company, I don't know where. So Duke is my Saint Bernard, right? So he's knocked out somewhere here. So Duke is my Saint Bernard. I pretty much take him almost anywhere. He came to us at a very special time. We had lost our Chihuahua, got hit by a car, went out like a champ, and yeah, you know, we had seen an actual video on Facebook, and it was a Saint Bernard, and it touched us, you know. So we're like, hey, listen, you know, when we purchase our house, we're gonna get it, and you know, we got Duke, and then Allen. Man, I'm a huge Buffalo Bills fan. And this year, Josh Allen has been my all-star quarterback. Like, let me tell you, it pumped life back into me, into football. And Josh Allen is, man, he's gonna be he will be a champ. You know, so that's where, you know, Duke Allen and company came from.
So let me ask you this: Is this a premiere? Like, is this the first time you've actually shared that publicly with anybody? Do I get the scoop right here?
Yesterday we were with Atlanta Rhea and Dustin Griffin, one of the actual organizers over there. He asked me, "Hey, so what's it?" And he like zoomed the camera into my face, and I'm like, "Okay, here we go." So everybody, you know, they were like, "Okay, it kind of makes sense, and it's solid. It's an awesome name. Love it. It came out pretty well."
Yeah, Duke Allen definitely sounds like a famous actor or somebody like that. Great stuff. So, so let's talk about what you do, and then we'll get into you mentioned challenges, and as we talk, I want to make sure, you know, we help people understand challenges that, you know, we face in every area of our industry. You know, and I'm transparent. I'll share some of mine as well. But we'll get into that. But let's talk about, what is Duke Allen and Company? What do you guys do?
So, in my many years I've been lending, I see investors go through certain challenges, right? A lot of it is their credit. Okay. Yes. To get into a hard money loan, you don't really need great credit or fair credit. I mean, you could have below credit, but obviously you're going to pay in interest rates and terms. But when they're trying to do the BRRRR method, which is you buy, you rehab, you rent, you refinance, when they're getting to that refinance stage, that's where they get stuck. Okay. And most likely, most of the time is that because in that one particular property, they maxed out all their credit cards to get this rehab done, right? In most cases, it happens most of the time. So by doing that, they wouldn't qualify to get a rental loan. Into a long-term, you know, 5, 7, 10-1 arm, amortized to 30 years, however you want it, they just won't qualify. So now they have to change their whole game plan of the property and sell, when in reality, they wanted to build their rental portfolio. Okay. So what happens is, I was thinking, I'm like, man, you know what? We have to educate our investors on how to create generational wealth, right? Definitely. So by doing that, we need to help them, you know, fix their credit. Understand and point out, hey, listen, you have all of these, you know, inquiries, late payments, possibly, you know, bankruptcy, a divorce, child support, things that they may not even know, and sometimes there are accounts that they don't even know exist that, you know, they need to fight, and that's what's getting them underneath that qualifying platform. And what better way to do it than just all in house? And then also, I've had a few clients that actually had passed away. Wow. So what happens is, they don't have life insurance, and this is about creating generational wealth. Definitely. You know, so if I could go ahead and kind of steer my clients into, hey, listen, insurance is very affordable. Believe it or not, life insurance is very affordable. Absolutely. The same way that you go out with your family, you spend, you know, $200 on an evening in dinners or whatever the case is. That is like, it's very economical. You could easily do that in one setting. Like, it's not even funny, you know, and the coverage is astronomical, especially when you have kids. Like, we have 5 kids, between my wife and I. And, you know, what if something would happen to either one of us, just coming from either a project or from work, or, you know, something natural, of course. I mean, it is what it is, especially in COVID right now. I mean, funny thing, I've had COVID twice. And wow. Yeah, I've had COVID twice. I got the paperwork, and I got hit with it twice. But thank God nothing happened to me, even though I do have asthma, a respiratory condition. And, you know, it was like, hey, listen, I mean, if something happens to me or my wife, we know that our kids don't have to deal with any type of burdens, any type of, you know, having to ask for money. Like, that's embarrassing, you know, and it's happened. I mean, we just, you know, we had a close friend of ours pass away as well. And, You know, luckily they had insurance, but I've seen a lot of other individuals on social media passing away, and they're having to do a GoFundMe and everything. Like, you shouldn't go through that. You should have everything set in place, so if the day comes, your family is okay. You know.
Definitely.
So so there's those three services that go hand in hand for sure. Like, it is what it is, and most investors think that it's expensive, or you have to be employed or a W-2 to actually get an affordable life insurance.
I don't want to cut you, but now you have there's reason to believe that if you're an investor, now of course I'm the type of investor. I don't know if it's considered old school, but I learned that we don't pay full price for anything. But to think that life insurance is expensive as an investor, that's kind of an oxymoron, don't you think?
Man, let me tell you, there's I would want to say about 75% of investors that I know, they're like, no, I don't even have health insurance. I mean, yeah, so, but it's more in obviously being in their shoes. Like, you don't know what they're going through, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just they might not have, the knowledge, the education of, what to have certain coverages, or sometimes it's just they're just, fast lane. Everything is quick. I've got no time to do all this. Or sometimes they just don't have the capital that they think they need when, excuse me, when really, like I said, it's just affordable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's the thing that and I, again, going back to 2020 and COVID and all that, I was that guy before, like you said, fast lane, everything fast lane. But 2020 actually helped put things into like a slow motion view for me, right? And I was able to visualize a lot of the things that I was missing, doing the things that I should be doing. Now, fast forward 2020, they've all sped back up quite a bit, but but to even have the time to be able to visualize those things, what would you say to the person that is in a situation where, well, and I guess, money's really not an issue. We'll say money is not an issue. But as you said, life insurance is affordable. What would you say to the person that should have a life insurance that doesn't currently see it as a need right now?
Well, once again, if you have family, if you have kids or wife, like, that should be your why automatically. Like,
Absolutely.
anything in life, that's your why.
Yeah.
Your family. So, like, for instance, last night I had an actual investor come visit me at the office, and he didn't have life insurance, and he's got 4 kids. And he travels to Alabama and Florida on a daily basis for work.
Wow.
So I go, listen, imagine you driving 2 hours each way every day, and something happens to you. I mean, you have no control of your environment. You have no control of other individuals driving on the road. What if a spare tire falls off a truck and it causes an accident, and that was your end, right?
Yes.
So you never expect that. But I always start off with, your family. This is why you have life insurance, to make sure that your family is taken care of if and when that day comes, which is guaranteed for everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the thing, like, you think that something that's guaranteed to happen, guaranteed. I mean, there's no, what does it say that, you don't get out of this life alive? You think that would be,
and funny thing is, some people actually fight it. They're like, oh, no. I'm like, and it's sad that it has to kind of happen in their circle for them to open their eyes and say, yeah, you know what, I do need it. And they come back and they're like, hey, listen, man, let's set this up. Let's go over your coverages. Obviously some health questions. And the best thing obviously is just leaving everything for your family, for your kids. That way there's no burden whatsoever.
Yeah. I've seen those situations, man, unfortunately, all too often, that, people pass away, that meet their demise, and there's no money there to take care of those situations, and it's so unfortunate. I've had to deal with that personally in my family, where me and my wife had to dig deep, like real deep, to take care of those situations. But it's like you said, if you have a family and you have children, that is certainly a priority. you know,
Mhm.
because I mean, most of us, we talk about generational wealth and, legacy building and all this, the last thing you want to do. And that's where a lot of us, I know for me in my situation, we started behind zero. A lot of people get to start at zero. We started behind zero. Um, and just to know that the burden of having to deal with that type of situation that is inevitably going to come, if there was just a situation where, someone would have made a small investment,
Contribution,
a
something.
small contribution to their own life, so
Yeah,
many of us wouldn't have had to deal with that,
sure.
so, definitely hats off to you, man, for being in that space. Um, so tell me, okay, so you're doing the hard money loans, and
Yes.
now I'm sorry. So help me figure this out. I know that in some spaces they're called hard money, in other spaces they're called private money.
Mhm.
What is the difference? Could you explain to the folks what the difference in those two are?
So that's a great question, Glenn. So to me, hard money is, listen, you have an unlimited amount of capital to deploy, right? These are, larger institutions, higher interest rate. Of course, you have points as well, and they have a little bit of a more aggressive underwriting process.
Mhm.
Private money could be, hey, it's your money and mine. We have $1 million. We sell it to whoever we want. Very minimal interest. Maybe 1 point on the exit. Of the actual loan, and depending on who are we lending it to, we might not even need an appraisal. We could just do a quick CMA report, and it's just a lot easier. It's like, if the investor that on the private money side is a seasoned investor, it's like, hey man, here, take the capital. As long as we get our return, we're okay. But also we're limited on capital, because after, let's say we do have $1 million to
Mhm.
deploy. Once that $1 million is done, which is that could be gone in 14 days.
Right. Yeah.
And that's it. That's no more. There's no more of a fund, and then now we have to, turn away our clients. And to
Mhm.
some, it's a bitter taste in their mouth, and they're like, you know what, if you can't finance 2 or 3 deals, then I just got to go somewhere else, because they're going to lose their properties and
Right.
their deals if they don't have the access to that capital. So that's a difference.
Yeah. So now in the hard money space, and talking about credit and why that's all important, what type of credit do you typically look for in the hard money space?
So we want to see at least about a
Okay.
600 on a rental a program.
Hmm.
And then, on a bridge loan, a fix and flip, you're in and out, prepayment penalties, in and out a few months, six months maybe or so, depending on how big the project is. The higher the credit, the more aggressive you get a competitive rate of interest and points and loan to value. You leverage that with your experience, and how much liquidity you have as well. And also, you got to factor in the strength of the project. You want to make sure that the project makes sense. Not every deal is a good deal. So especially with right now, we're having like just this wave of new investors. They're just like,
Hmm.
they're buying with their heart, with their
Yeah.
eyes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they have to, and it's tough to educate those, because they're like, oh man, I'm ready, I'm jumping in. They're just funny. Yesterday, somebody submitted an offer on a property, and they don't even have enough funds to even put down on the down payment, because it's just too big for them. So
Wow.
sometimes they just like jump into put a property in the contract, put earnest money down, and they're like, hey, I'll figure out the financing later. And sometimes they'll cost you.
Yes.
Sometimes they'll cost you, and then you'll learn. Hey, listen, let me do my due diligence first, make
Hmm.
sure it makes sense, and that's why we hop on a phone call with our clients. We go over their application. We want to make sure that every information there that we have, it helps us as well, because we're not just going to throw any deal into our underwriters, because they'll look at us like, man, listen, you knew this wasn't going to fly. Why are
Right.
you? So you kind of, we have a brand that we have to take care of, and
Mhm.
as our capital partners, they have to make sure that the deals make sense as well. So we're not just going to throw any deal out there. We'll vet it, because also if we catch it in the beginning, it's a simple conversation with our client. Hey, listen, because of X, Y, and Z factors, this is not going to fly.
Mhm.
Unless if you could show me comparables from your realtor, then great. If not, then listen, there's a boatload of other properties. Let's just go ahead and focus on something else, something that would make sense.
Definitely. Definitely. So I guess let's kind of, for the folks that are watching this, or maybe, watching it now or later, um, kind of let's kind of create a scenario, right? What would be an ideal deal for someone to present to you? You know, credit wise, deal wise, numbers, and all that. How does a good package look to be presented for a deal that you would fund like almost immediately?
I mean, almost immediately. I mean, at least 5 flips in the last 24 months.
Mm-hmm.
Credit score of a 680 or better.
Mm-hmm.
Liquidity, that's huge. I mean, once you have that liquidity, we're rolling. And in some cases, we won't even need an appraisal. We'll just go hop on what I call an investor's call or a fund call,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll just go ahead and go over the contract, the rehab budget. If they're doing new construction, obviously we'll ask for a drawing to make sure, hey, what are you building, so we can have a sense of it.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll literally close within about 48 hours once title is pulled.
Wait, how quick?
48 hours after title is pulled.
that would be an ideal situation.
Yes, that would be like, oh my God. And it's cool. So we have softwares that now it's like, hey, the client gets a link, they upload all of their documents, everything that's needed is on that link. So it's not like, oh, well, email me this, or I forgot to email this, or no. Here's your link, upload these documents. And so these documents are not uploaded, then we cannot move forward, because we have to move forward with a full file. We just cannot, start off with a contract and then 3 days later a rehab budget, and then a few days later business entity. No, we have to have a full file so we could go ahead and move, because not just these days, but it's just been the years prior to, any good deal doesn't last. So as quickly as you get a wholesale deal, that deal's already gone.
Absolutely. Yeah, I see it happening quite a bit. I'm fighting for a few of them myself now.
Yeah.
So, okay, now that's ideal. Now bring it back to borderline. Okay, let's say
borderline. Okay,
600 credit score, no experience. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, we've closed a deal with an investor with a 550 credit score. Mm-hmm. 3 properties in the last 24 months, and I mean they had the liquidity. So yes, the interest rate is a little bit higher because obviously there's some sort of challenge with their credit. What is it? We don't know. But if we're going to let you borrow $250,000, we got to make it worth it, right? So obviously the loan to value is going to be a lot less. Okay. But they have the capital to go ahead and deploy and make the deal happen. And the interest rate is going to be a lot higher. It'll be between 13 and 15%, give or take.
Okay. So you say loan to value is less. What and kind of what does that mean? So
loan to value, typically us hard money lenders, we look about an average of 70% loan to value. Mm-hmm. So if you got the experience but you're challenged in what is the credit space, then you're looking at 65%, maybe 60%, depending on the size of the project. Mm-hmm. If it's either a rehab or a new construction.
Got it. Okay. Mm-hmm. How about I got great credit, no experience?
Great credit, that's fine. You'll probably be at around 65, 70%.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. As long as you have the liquidity, mm-hmm. That's the biggest thing, because you could have great credit, the experience, but if you don't have liquidity, you still have to bring some sort of cash to close, right? Mm-hmm. So in many instances, we also want to make sure that you have at least 4 months of reserves of whatever your interest only payment is going to be. Mm-hmm. And like I make it very simple for the client. I'm like, listen, if you're a contractor and you're in front of this project that your investor bought, what's the first thing you're going to ask your borrower for before starting a project?
Money.
Money, yes. How much money typically does a contractor ask you? 25% of the project. Yeah. Yes, you want to make sure you have 25% in reserves ready to deploy the day after closing. That's it. You schedule your team. Hey, listen, guys, we're closing on Monday, Tuesday. Order the dumpster, order whatever it is. Here's 25%. Let's go. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we want to make sure you have all that capital ready, because the last thing I want to do is, finance a deal and then come to find out that you don't even have the funds to start the process, start the project.
Yeah, that and that happens all too often. Yeah. People come, they have the money to close, mm-hmm. but what happens tomorrow?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So it's all about setting up the expectation. Yeah. Sometimes seasoned investors don't want to hear it, but I'm that guy. I'll let you know, hey, it's not gonna work. You might hate me, but you'll thank me later, because then you're like, hey man, I see you looking out. I apologize, and they come back and we start closing deals after that. So it's not an issue really. It's just I love to say no. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Keep it moving.
Definitely.
You know, but when you try to make, you know, the deal work, if you try to, you know, negotiate the rehab, which you should never do. You should always negotiate the purchase price versus the rehab. The rehab is always going to dictate what your final value of that property is going to be. So imagine you lowballing your contractor, and you know it gets to the point that they don't even want to come to work. Like, how would you feel if you would get, you know, kind of lowballed in whatever space you're in? Then you don't really feel like working 100% for that client, right? And sometimes they'll just walk away. You'll pay them and they'll walk away and like, hey man, find somebody to do that at a cheaper price.
Ooh, seen that plenty of times too.
It is what it is, you know. So you know, you always have to respect everybody's services. You know, now if you're giving, you know, this contractor, you know, 5, 6, 7 jobs, it's gonna get to a point like, hey, you know, cut me a deal or something, right? But if you're always gonna be nickel and diming everybody, like everybody has a family, they have a table to feed, you know, a family to feed and put, you know, food on the table. And if you're always nickel and diming them, you're gonna see that your team is always gonna be filtering in and out, and you're not gonna have a solid crew. And in this industry, I always tell my clients, honestly, hard money is actually easy to access. You know, it's not called hard money because it's hard to access the capital. It's called hard money because it's attached to a hard asset, a single family home, the duplex, the quad, you know, a commercial, whatever. It's an asset. You know, the hardest real thing is, you know, getting a crew, someone that you could trust that, you know, is going to do the job right. You know, obviously within your budget, and you know, it's got a great product.
Definitely. Okay. So, you know, and you know, of course, this is all for educational purposes for people that will watch this. And just, you know, you gave us some really good detailed information about how these projects work, because a lot of people get into these situations and they're not really familiar with the kind of the back end, if you will, of how all this comes together. You know, so purchasing the property, rehabbing it, and all that is certainly a process. So let me ask this question. What is the term of your loans? Is it 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, 30 years?
So hard money typically, so hard money typically is about 6 months to 24 months. And that all depends on how big your project is. I mean, obviously if you got a lipstick, cosmetic, something minor, if you're in it for a year, there's something wrong, right? There's something that maybe, you know, your contractors ran away with the capital, or maybe it's happened a lot. Or maybe you're overpricing your property and you're kind of stubborn about it and you don't want to bring it down, and that kind of hurts you, because the more properties on the market, everybody has access to Zillow. Even though people hate Zillow, but Zillow does have important information, basic information that's going to tell you, hey, this property's been on the market for, you know, 2, 3 months. In a market as hot as it is right now, there's no reason why property should be even going beyond 15 days for some reason. You know? So there's always going to be like the realtor representing the buyer is going to be like, there's something wrong out here. What could it be? It could be it's overly priced, you know, and that also has to do with, you know, your realtor that's representing the investor. You know, they're the ones that's supposed to be guiding them in some way, shape, or form as to, hey, I think this property is really worth this based off the comparables. Right. You know, and some investors, they're just not even going based off that. They're like, man, the market's hot. I'm going to throw it out for this number and see what I get. Definitely. You know, some investors, depending on the neighborhood, they'll get that asking price. Yes. But certain investors in certain neighborhoods, they're going to get stuck for a while. And so they just got to kind of bite the bullet and say, hey, man, you know what? Yeah, let's lower it down and, you know, see what, and see what you know, what we could get. Definitely.
So and you know, let's look at that in the market that we're in, you know, because we got a lot of speculative wholesalers, right? They're like, oh yeah, the ARVs are 300, but you can sell it for 400,000.
Man, let me tell you, I got a burnt unit sent to me talking about $20,000, and I'm like, and it's funny. Like I get so many deals. I get so many deals because of the book of business I have. you
Mhm.
know, that I could help both my client get a project that makes sense, and of course offload decent inventory from realtor. I mean, wholesalers. There are
Yeah.
a lot of there are a lot of decent wholesalers here in Atlanta, and I only look at those that they send me, because everybody else is, they're just daisy chaining left and right,
Mhm.
adding $20,000, just moving a paper from left to right, which, listen, I get it. If you're the one holding the contract and you really negotiated a good deal with the actual owner,
Mhm.
I get that. That's perfect. Kudos, congrats, good. But when that deal goes into 2 or 3 different people, and now it's a $40,000 assignment fee, then
Yeah.
that's a huge problem. Can we fund those? Yes, we could fund. I could care less how much you're making off your assignment fee. I could do it, but also understand that, you know, you'll have a certain name out there because you just kind of overdid it. You know, and it's fair, and I get that. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's all good. The problem is all this. You know, you got to go through a funnel of 4 or 5 individuals just to get to the owner, and then, you know, there's always certain issues at title, depending on who the closing attorney is. Some closing attorneys won't even allow that.
Yeah.
Some closing attorneys won't even allow pass-through funding, and it's just too much going on. But you're right. Yeah, I mean, wholesalers nowadays, man. Like I would love for the top wholesalers here in Atlanta to kind of really do like some sort of workshop for those inspiring or up and coming wholesalers to come out and say, hey, man, we're the OGs in here. This is how you're supposed to do things, and let's keep it in uniform so it could be fair all across the board. Because right now it's kind of tough seeing and swallowing. I mean, swallowing all these properties that is just getting overly, like, overly priced, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, man,
Yeah.
it's
I think a
kind of
few of us. I think a few of us have rang that bell. Maybe, and I'll say this: maybe not enough of us have rang that bell, but a few of us have. The unfortunate thing is, I don't think they're listening.
right, right, yeah. I mean, it is what it is. It's just,
Yeah,
just put
I don't
it
think
out there.
they're listening. Because I think because of there being so much, let me call it this way, so much noise. I won't call it
Mhm.
this. There's so much noise out there about, hey, do this and do, because I made a couple posts a couple weeks ago. I haven't gotten a lot of feedback on. I'm still curious of what the answers are of what a deal is in this market, and what number should a wholesaler expect to make on their deal, right?
Mhm.
And there's different opinions on that, but I think the thing about it mostly is there was only a few people that said whatever you negotiate, that's the fee you should expect. But I
Mhm.
think people are not negotiating as well as they could or should on the front end, thereby making the deal not work on the back end for the people who are eventually going to buy it. And then you got a slim margin of $5,000, right? That fits within that formula that you go by, that 70% formula. You got a
Yeah,
$5,000 slim margin in there. Then you got somebody that's co-wholesaling it for 15 extra thousand. So now it's marked up 20,000, and it clearly
it's
doesn't
yeah,
make sense.
it's out of range for sure. Yeah,
So here's a
as
question I have about that, as from a lender perspective, right? Say I bring a deal to you, and of course your number is 70% of the after repaired value. How far up do you see them going now? So for example, if I decide I want to buy it at 75% and I have the extra capital to put down, is that something that you still fund, or how does that conversation
Oh
happen?
yeah, yeah. So obviously the conversation is real simple. It's like, hey, listen, this is what you would have in an ideal situation at 70%. This would be your number. Let's say it's 30 grand. Let's say it's 30 grand.
Hmm.
But because it didn't come back at that number, you would still bring that 30 grand plus the difference of that 75 to 70% loan to value. So you would bring the difference off that.
Hmm.
And in many cases, they're like, yeah, I'll do it because I know. And you have, and don't get me wrong, you do have seasoned investors that know the neighborhood
Hmm.
and they're selling. It's just the fact that whoever's performing the appraisal or the BPO could have had a personal issue at home, could have been the first day on the job.
Right, right.
It could have been raining, depressing day. I don't know what it is. And sometimes, yeah, these appraisals do come back slightly bit different, as far as the value of the property goes. But even though the seasoned investors like, hey, you know what, I'll bring the difference. Let's make it happen. Like, I got the cash to deploy it. I'm not going to lose it. Yeah,
Mhm.
we could do it. That's not a problem.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Okay. How are you seeing quite a bit of that in your space?
No, not really. No, I haven't really seen anything of that nature. Because my investors are seasoned. They already know how to negotiate. They know how to get the price of of these properties at what it needs to be.
Right.
You know.
Okay. 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 No, that makes sense. And that's just from what I'm seeing, a lot of how the wholesalers are doing, and they're going after what they're considering to be the cash buyers.
Hmm.
They don't have to deal with a guy like you, who's going to tell them the truth about what they need to know about these deals.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's I think that's where a lot of that is happening. Like most of the people now in the market are kind of taking advantage of the market in a sense of where it is and not wanting to go through that process of someone having to get a hard money loan. Um, but you're saying, I mean, if everything fits, you can close it quickly as well. So
Yeah.
this
Hmm.
wouldn't be that big of a deal.
Once we do, a few projects, we already have certain documents in place. All we just need is updated bank statements, and we're rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
Once title is cleared, the value is there.
Mhm.
All we have to do is just add builder's risk insurance and close within 48 hours. Those 48 hours is just for us to draw up documents from underwriting, and that's it. Get you to closing. Real simple.
Right, right, right. That's very good. So let me ask you this. What is the difference? And I know you've been in this space, for quite some time. So now there's the ability to be able to close in 48 hours. Some hard money lenders haven't always been there. There's been some time that's taken to them to get there. What's
Mhm.
different from then and now, or from what you got going on now?
Well, I mean, I do have some private funds that I work with. So obviously, they don't ask for an appraisal. An
Okay.
appraisal right now with COVID and this whole pandemic, there's been a shortage of appraisers. They don't want to be in a high risk situation where going to some stranger's house, they could catch it, right?
Okay.
So obviously, it used to be, 3 to 5 business days or so turnaround. Now it's more than that. Now it's almost 10 days. So in certain cases, investors can't wait because of whatever contracted date that they said they were going to close. They got to close by. So they got to close with urgency. Obviously, I do have a program with that. Yes, it's going to be a higher interest rate. It's going to be 7% loan to value. But hey, they're quick. They make it happen. Like once you weigh that they can make it happen versus, oh, well, we got to wait on somebody else's opinion. No,
Right.
it's like, hey, we get on a phone call today. By the end of the day, you're going to get a term sheet, and that's going to be pretty much your cash to close.
Got it.
That's
Got
it.
it.
Once we pull title, then hopefully the title is clear, no back taxes, no liens, and then we slap some insurance on it, builder's risk insurance, and that's it. We get it at the closing table.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think the biggest difference, as you mentioned, is probably the appraisal that's been the holdup for the most part, and a lot
that's
of
that's that's what it is. Absolutely. Right.
good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, okay. So now, and I guess, and you probably mentioned this before, but they're going by just the comps to get those values. Is that what's happening?
Right. Yeah. So we look at comps. We look at certain factors as well. The good thing is when we get on these phone calls, typically there is a builder on the line as well. So they're looking at the rehab budget as we're talking to the actual client, and
Mm,
they'll kind of just dissect the whole deal in front of them, and they're like, "Oh man, I forgot. I didn't even. I oversaw this. Let me add that in. We'll
mhm.
put it. We'll restructure the rehab budget, and based off that number, like I said, at the end of that day, we already have a soft term sheet sent out, and if they agree, let's go. It makes sense. If you're making 40 to 70,000 on the back end in 4 to 5 months, trust me, nobody's really looking at the interest rate because
Right.
your gains are a lot higher after paying off your holding costs, your commissions, obviously for 6% for the realtors.
Yeah.
We're paying off any type of extra things that you've had to pay, and of
Mhm.
course, guess what? Uncle Sam wants your cut. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
you got to factor that in.
That's the part a lot of flippers always, Uncle Sam, I gotta pay him too. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, absolutely, and
Yeah.
that's why I battle certain investors. I'm like, guys, it doesn't make sense because of this. I mean, yeah, oh my God, but 25 grand is okay. I'm like, yeah, well, did you pay your commissions? Did
Right.
you pay your realtors? Remember, one realtor is representing you, but the realtor bringing in the actual buyer, you got to pay them 3%.
Definitely.
That's not negotiable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In most cases, it's not. They're like, nope.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, and that, that's the thing. These are the things. I mean, you're giving some great information as far as where some people miss a lot of the meat and potatoes of how this business comes together. I mean, taxes being the number one thing. People are like, I'll pay them when I pay them. Yeah, but that bail money would have been the taxes that you paid.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So now let's go into. We talked about some challenges for 2020.
Yeah.
What would you say? Or, let's talk about what pros and cons have you seen as far as the pandemic has come.
So where do I start? So we had a property that was finished in 2019, right, in Southwest Atlanta. By October, it was already done. November, December came, it hadn't been sold. So we're like, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead. And at the time, like I was just my family and I, we were just killing the short-term rental space, right? So with my business partner, we agreed, hey, listen, let's just turn it into a short-term rental. I mean, if you're already dominating with what you're doing right now, the short-term rental game, then yeah, it makes sense. The returns were crazy, Right. So in the middle of this process, yes, we had paid already a BPO, to evaluate the property and everything. In the middle of all of this, the pandemic, underwriting guidelines just went, everything just, you had big institutional lenders just close their doors, right? Like they're like this was like the real deal Holyfield, man. This is like, especially going through actual process and getting approved. And as it's going through underwriting, underwriting guidelines change. This is now the new norm. So obviously we couldn't qualify to refinance out because then we would have to bring cash to close. And that wasn't part of the deal or the plan. In the meantime, I had also 8 short-term rentals. One do we actually own, and then the other ones just were all rental arbitrage. And I had partners in it, drawing up these rental arbitrage lease agreements. I always have an out just for in case. And I would never thought this would have been the reason why we had to do what we had to do. But in my lease agreements, we have a clause that states that if for any reason we are not able to conduct our business, we are relieved of all of our responsibilities, and you get to keep our last month's rent as an inconvenience fee, and we pay whatever else, any type of utilities that weren't paid, we'll take care of that. I put that, it's kind of a general just stipulation there, and the pandemic hit. Like, we weren't even expecting this. The year before, we were killing it in the short-term rental game. And as a matter of fact, I think it was like a year ago this time around, me and my guy Rich Monroe, we had done a short-term rental workshop, and people, they were like, man, they love it. It makes sense. Like, you're making about 2.5 to 3 times the rent using somebody else's property, right? And it was like, man, it was great. It was awesome. But like he told me once, man, hey, listen, you got to just know when to cut your losses, right? Absolutely. So here comes April, and I owe 7 rents. And at that moment in time, there was a curfew set by the governor, 9 p.m. If you were caught doing short-term rentals, at one point it was a felony and cash penalties. So, my wife and I, I'm like, listen, we didn't get into this to get caught, hopefully not to get caught. And then now you have a felony, and now you have to go to court and all this, because technically you're in the housing business, right? So if you're open to housing people coming from different states and entertaining their stay here, then to them, it's like, dude, we don't want that. We want to kind of control the situation and, see how far it goes. And obviously it's been a year already, and, where we're at. So, so we had to cut our losses. People weren't buying furniture. They're like, hell no, we're not going to buy furniture. So we gave away what we could give away, and, we returned. The good thing, obviously, is these properties, we had to keep it up to par. We had to maintain them nice, clean, and everything. So when we returned it, it really wasn't a burden on them, because they kept our last month's rent, and it was rent ready. Like, you could just literally take the same pictures from the Airbnb and give it to them, and they could rent it out just like, hey, this is what it was staged,
Definitely.
right?
Definitely. Yeah.
So they you know, and they knew. I was very transparent with the owners, and they understood. Everybody's got to take a hit. It's not just me, and it's not, you know. And another way was, most of my units, the owner had the utilities under their name.
Okay.
I negotiated that, so that was good because I didn't have to bring a deposit. I didn't have to run my credit, anything like that. But you know, they also saw the usage of energy and water, and I go, man, nobody stayed in this property. As you can see, we're only paying $7 of water. Why? Because nobody's been there.
Right.
So it was that I was trying to get out of these lease agreements. I'm like, listen, there's no activity. I have no control of this.
Yeah.
You know, just how I have to take a loss, everybody's got to take a loss. Like, I don't, if this wasn't in place, this whole pandemic thing, and we would have been killing it. You would have been getting your mailbox money every month with no issues, possible extending the lease. But yeah, I mean, it was one of those. Now, the property that we tried to refinance, we later sold it for $15,000 more than asking price.
Wow.
So that was kind of a good thing. But because we were holding a hard money loan on it, we were still making payments on this.
Wow.
So that 15 grand really went back into paying back for the loan.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, those were our challenges, our biggest challenges for 2020. Obviously, you know, with the family, the kids, it was very challenging for the kids to absorb that. Hey, listen, I can't be with my friends. They can't come over. I can't go have sleepovers. Our in-laws, they can't come over as well. You know, we don't want to risk anything. So it was kind of being isolated. The typical everybody was kind of going through it.
Real life, man.
Yeah. You know, so, but yeah, I mean, just that was really our backbone last year. And like right now, honestly, we've had COVID twice, so I don't even think what else could stop us right now.
Hey, brother, listen, you have defined what a true soldier is. But you know,
Yeah.
but listen, I had an Airbnb. My first one here, I was doing in Atlanta. You know, I've invested with some other folks doing some in other places. You know, where I'm not involved in the day-to-day process, just give me my money kind of thing. And they're, you know, they've maintained and they're doing okay. But I was starting my own individual one, you know, just one here in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And you know, of course, I'm investing in a few other, but I was starting one that I was actually going to be, you know, I had somebody managing it for me and all that. I'm talking the day. I'm talking, if not 24 hours, within 48 hours to the day it was going to go live on the different short-term rental sites, everything was cut. You know, I'm talking you know, and it was a rental house that I'd had, you know, tenant had moved out. I went and bought all new furniture. It was staged. Everything looked nice. It was ready to go. We were just about to list it, and they were like, "Nope, no more Airbnb." I said, "What?"
Yeah, they were refunding the guests' money.
Yes.
Without even asking us, which I get it, and people badmouth certain platforms, and I'm like, guys, listen, if it wasn't for these platforms, you would have had to be working for someone else.
Absolutely.
Or had to do something else.
Absolutely.
But these platforms give you the ability to be an entrepreneur and make your own schedule and don't have to answer to anybody, of course, except for the clients, the guest itself. But other than that, if you have a solid service, you know, make sure that the units are clean, cater to them, you know, do whatever it is, you'll be okay. But everybody started bashing, these platforms, you know, and I'm like, man, you got to understand, this is a two-way thing. You know, if it wasn't for these platforms, how would you get to have somebody from Germany come and rent your house for 45 days?
Absolutely.
You would never in a million years. I had somebody from Russia. We had one in Buckhead. Came from Russia for about 55 days. We had a 1-bedroom, 1-bath in like literally in the heart of Buckhead. I wouldn't have never gotten that lead if it wasn't for Airbnb. Like, man, that's crazy. And people are like, oh, well, they shouldn't. It is what it is.
So they're saying that they shouldn't have refunded the people the money.
Yeah. Yeah.
if the people are mandated by the government not to be able to come and stay in the place,
Yeah.
like, come on now, that's like,
And I get it also on the actual host side. Yes, I get that too. But when everybody's taking it, everybody's got to take it. I mean, it
yeah,
is what it is. You know, there's ways of you, instead of giving back the money. Say, hey, listen, how about you come in a future day? We'll reserve those dates for you. But
mhm,
once these platforms stepped in and said, no, we don't care what you say. This is we're refunding this money. Period.
yeah, definitely. I mean, it just, and well, I see that it makes sense, because they have to protect themselves for the customer that's actually coming through them to be able to book. They have to protect themselves. So like you said, at the end of the day, everybody's got to take it.
Yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely.
we're talking about a pandemic. We're talking about something that's out of anyone's specific control. Except for God. Of course,
Mhm. Yeah,
but outside of that, certain things had to be adjusted.
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's like the when we were mandated to stay in the house. Some people are like, oh, I'm not staying in the house. Yeah, okay, you'll go to jail then.
Man, it's a tough topic, man.
It
Honestly, I
is.
don't.
It is.
When my friends and family was talking about that, I just like I'm like,
And
okay, I'll be over here.
listen,
I'll be watching sports, bro.
right, right, right. Look, as for me and my house, we gonna do what protects us. Y'all go figure it out. The rest, everything else on y'all. Like, yo, listen, we
Hey,
not.
Glenn, let me ask you, man. How
Uh,
are you doing? I know you host this. I've seen you this for years, and it's like,
man,
man, what is Glenn? Glenn, what is he up to? What are you doing, man?
listen. You know what? I thank you for asking me that question. So I get a chance to tell you. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. All right, hang on. All right, guys, we're here in the real life real estate group here, and we have Glenn Glasper here live from Atlanta. Glenn, what are you up to? How are you and your family and business doing?
Man, listen, we're gonna have to come back on and you do this officially. But I will answer that question now. We'll answer that question. Man, listen, life has been good. I will say, first and foremost, my family and I have tested negative for COVID. So we've been doing fantastic. We've been doing the things that we believe are necessary for us to protect ourselves and those that are around us. Um, call it what you want. We feel like, for me and my house, me and my wife, we've decided that, my mother-in-law, she's with us from time to time. She's elderly. We're going to do the best that we can to protect her and anybody that comes around her. So wearing the mask and all that. As far as business goes, business has actually done really well. We've had probably I wouldn't say the best year, but we've had a really good year last year. Of course, I'm in the education space. So, I
Yeah,
teach students online how to invest in real estate. Many of them become my partners, and we do deals all over the country. Um, so, I've actually done really well in that space. I mean, I'm talking sitting right here at this
yeah.
desk.
Mhm. Yeah.
And now that I haven't to leave the house for much, wholesaling in different areas of the country, it's been really well. It's been really good. I was actually already in the virtual wholesaling space before COVID, but I'll be honest, it's actually helped me to really hone in the specific skills that are necessary. Well, I mean, okay, skills. I'll say skills, yes, but more so the specific tools. Right, you only got to be the smartest crayon. You ain't got to be the
Yeah.
brightest crayon in the box if you
Yeah.
got the right tools.
Right. Right.
And just honing in the right tools, making mistakes. I mean, I won't say that it's been perfect. We made a ton of mistakes, got a lot of stuff wrong. I was actually talking to one of my students yesterday. Um, and actually, I had a year contract with some of my students. And this student just come up on the end of their year contract, and they hadn't closed a deal yet. Now because they were gone for 9 months out of the 12 months, and they decided, okay, and 3 months later, 3 months left, I got to do something.
Yeah.
But even in that time, I'm still present with them as if it was day one, right? So, but in the time that we've been working together well, not as consistently as I'd like, but in the time that they had available to work, we've actually made some adjustments to things that we've done as far as the coaching and training goes. And
Mhm.
it's a major, major benefit to my students now. I think the prices are going to have to go up now, but it's
Right.
a benefit to them because they're getting a much better service than initially when they got started, because I put other tools and things in place to help them to be successful. And these are things that get to go even after the time that we're working together. They get to take those things with them. So thank you for asking me that question, man. I wanted to answer that. But life is good, man. We're blessed, man.
Good.
I was playing. I'm actually, I told myself I was going to retire from the fix and flip business because I don't want to work that hard. But I'm actually now in the process of buying more property.
It's tough, man. It's tough. I completely follow you on that, man. It's just,
Yeah.
When it came to the short-term rental space, my mother's the one that started this whole thing. It's her fault.
Yeah.
So, so she's the one that put me on and kind of gave me the major points and all that. And then, I think it was a few weeks ago, my mom's like, "Hey, how about we get back into the space?" And I'm like, "Ooh, it's kind of tough." I loved it. It was a rush. It's a rush when you get all these inquiries, and it's like for multiple weeks, and it's like, oh my God, I didn't even have to really do much.
Right.
But but obviously once you start getting 5 units or more, now you're okay. Now you have to really have a system in place.
Yes.
You got to have a solid team when it comes to like your cleaning crew and whatnot. And so my mother was like, we should get it. I'm like, I don't know, Mom. We're starting Duke Allen and Company. We gotta stay focused and everything. But just like you said, the flipping. I'm not gonna do flipping no more or anything. But short-term rentals, I mean, we had it down pat. If it wasn't for the pandemic, we would have probably been at maybe 20 properties or so.
Wow.
Yeah.
So to put you on the hot seat, would you get back into it again? Or do you think you would?
I don't know. My boss is somewhere around here. If she hears me, because she knows I'm quick to jump in.
Yes.
If it makes money, if it makes sense, I'm jumping in.
Definitely.
But I really thank her for being the backbone of everything. It's not easy. The family at home, going through everything. Obviously every one of our kids has a different character. They go through different growing pains and whatnot, and then she still has to deal with me and my nonsense as far as business and late hours and why for real estate. And I'm like, it's for us, and she understands. But she definitely tells me, hey, calm down before you make any type of decisions. Just to kind of work out the kinks. Hey, is it worth it? What type of capital is needed? Who are we going to get involved as well? Because once again, with these Airbnbs, I had partners. So I mean, obviously, we lost, they lost as well. So and the funny thing is, a few of those actually came back to me and said, "Hey, Joe, what are we doing? Like, what are we? We're in a different market. We understand this is the norm now, but we're not going to be stagnant. We're not just going to stand here and just kind of just wait until the moon and the stars align, right?" Mm-hmm. So hey, but I don't know. You caught me there.
I know, right?
Hey, can we get back? Oh, she just said no.
Listen,
she's like,
it's something that I'm doing. I'm working with my students to do that. As I mentioned to you the other day, I was looking with, I got some clients that are looking for properties to do the rental arbitrage. Mm-hmm. Would it be something that you would consult on?
Yeah, that's definitely for sure. Yes, and believe it or not, I've done it. I've done consulting. Mm-hmm. I don't charge because it's basic information. I'm not lifting a finger. I'm not spending hours. No, it's basic information that if you don't grasp it as basic as it is, I don't know what to tell you.
So, but Joe, here's what we're gonna do. You said something. I'm not gonna have you repeat it. I'm gonna say it. And I'm gonna go quickly past it. You say you don't charge. We're not gonna tell nobody else that. That's just between me and you.
No, I'm pretty sure my clients they always follow me on Facebook and what I do, and they're big. I love to just help them and say, hey, listen, this is what worked for me.
Okay.
Apply it. If it doesn't work for you, then it worked for me. That's all I could say, right?
I'm going to be calling you.
Yeah, call me, man. No, seriously, call me. Let me know what I could help. I mean, I do love to eat, so hey.
And listen,
you compensate me that way, bro. Make it happen
all day long. Listen, that we have. Even if we can't go out to eat, I'll send you some DoorDash or something. We'll make it work.
Oh man, love it.
Man, thank you so much, man. You shared a ton of information here today, man. And listen, God bless you, man, making it through COVID twice, man.
Oh man, it was crazy.
You would be the sample of the people.
You want to see something crazy?
That's not real.
You want to see something crazy? Watch this. Hang on.
Joe is definitely the man doing what he does. I want to give a shout out to y'all folks that's watching, man. Thank y'all for tuning in. Troy, Castaneda.
So meet Daisy.
There's Daisy.
That's Daisy. Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought that
He
was Duke.
He
Okay.
is 11 weeks.
Wow. So that's not. I saw you walking one not too long ago. Is that?
No. That's the one long ago was Duke. This is
okay.
This is. Let me see if I can fit her in. This is 11-week-old Saint Bernard.
Wow. Listen, I love pets as long as they're somebody else's.
Yeah, she's something else. Hang on, let me put it back up.
Definitely. Shout out to Pone. Thank you for tuning in, cousin.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, man. It's been a journey. It's been a journey, and it's getting better.
Definitely, man. Listen, we got some folks tuning in. That's my wife. Thank you for. She said too cute. I guess she was talking about the.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Maybe she wasn't talking about us. She's probably.
It wasn't you. She wasn't talking about you.
Listen,
I see. Troy said, "Good afternoon, Troy. What's up, man? It's been a long time, man."
I know. Yeah, we definitely got to catch up with Troy, man. Troy is one of those silent killers, man. Troy, he probably back there got $1 million tucked away somewhere. Wait for us to step aside. Definitely. Hey, Joe, man, thank you so much for spending this time with us today, man. It has definitely been an honor. And listen, I know this has been our first time in as long as I've been doing this, but it definitely won't be the last.
No, not the last. Absolutely not.
How can folks get in contact with you to get some of the money that you have?
Sure. So just get a quick application online at dukeallenco.com, and it's dukeallenco.com. You can find me on Facebook at Joseph Castaneda. MySpace, I deactivated MySpace, so you can reach me through MySpace. And my phone number is 678-361-7831. If those still have my 305 number, I still have that. You can still contact me there as well. I still answer the phone either way. And then and you can reach us at info@dukeallenco.com.
Now, for either of these, I guess the email, the website, how about if people are interested in the life insurance or the credit portion?
Yeah, you could just reach out to me to there.
Okay,
Fill out that application, because that application is going to tell me a little bit more about the actual borrower and what they need help with.
Okay.
And then we'll take it from there.
Okay, great stuff. Listen, man, thank you for doing what you do.
Yeah.
You are definitely in a space that we all need to be paying attention to and doing the things that we need to do. For you folks that are watching, get life insurance, especially investment.
Absolutely. Oh, one more thing, guys. Listen, flipping mojitos is coming back.
Yeah. I wanted to listen. We have that on the list to talk about. I forgot.
Yeah, flipping mojitos is coming back March 17th. Okay, it's gonna be at the Mojitos. Bistro Bar and Grill. I think it's at Peachtree Corners. Guys, if you want to come out, network, get back into getting out here, we're gonna have both inside and outside. So those that you wear your mask, however you feel, we're not, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But we will have masks there just for in case if you forget yours. And then we're also gonna be working on Flipping Familia, the Hispanic boot camp, Fix and Flip boot camp, and we're gonna be working on the Hispanic RIA as well. So I'm telling you, like last year was just like trying to get things, started, planting the seed, and now it's like, hey, it's go time. We're ready to rock and roll and tap into different markets.
Definitely, man. Salute to you, brother. Listen, this is one thing I want to say, man. As long as I've known you, you are definitely one of the hardest working men in this show business anyway, man. Listen, everywhere you go, there's Joe.
Absolutely, man. This is about building relationships, bro. I don't care what you do. If people will do business with you no matter what it is. If they like you,
Yeah.
they'll always thinking about you.
Yes, yes, yes. Always a humble spirit, man. Always a smile on your face, man. Listen, brother, yeah, and listen, we men, I'm okay. We men, men. It's okay to say that you're easy to love, brother, because
Oh, thanks, bro. Likewise, man.
always, like I said,
Mad
every
love,
time
bro.
I see you, smile on your face, man. You're humble, and you're a family man, and listen, I love what you got going on, man, and I definitely support you in any way I can, man.
Glenn, thank you very much. You guys have a blessed one. Thank you guys for tuning in. Guys, don't forget to smash that like and share button and
Yeah.
see how many people we could help.
Absolutely, absolutely. And listen, Joe, we're going to be playing this again, man. So different people have the information. We're going to definitely make sure your information gets out there.
Awesome.
So, folks, listen, thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for watching the Real Life Real Estate Investing Show, where we talk about real life real estate situations, but we bring you real life real estate solutions. Don't forget to go to dukeallenco.com and support Joe and support yourself by getting the information and the tools that you need to get things going for yourself. All right, Joe, have a great day, sir. Going back to the family.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to let you kiss the dogs for me.
Will do. All right, guys. Have a good one.
Great one now.
All right, bye-bye.